Mom, will you come sit with me?
What are we doing?
So last September, you told me this story about the night before you got married to your first husband. And I want you to tell me that story again.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? I was in Lorain, Ohio at my mother and father's house.
So can you start by saying the night before I got married to my first husband?
Okay. The night that I got married.
No, you didn't get married to him that night, did you?
The night before.
Okay.
The night before I got married to my first husband, we were having his family over for dinner. And at the last minute, my mother told me that I was the person that was going to make the dinner. So I said, okay, I could make eggplant sauce.
Since my dad died, I've been trying to connect with my mom, but I find that she only wants to talk when she's being filmed, and the truth is, she's not very good at being herself on camera.
No, don't do any of that. Just touch it normal.
That's what I do. But that's what I do.
I know, but then you patted it a second time.
Okay.
Patted it once.
All right.
Did your mom help you cook?
No. I set the table, I cooked, I did everything myself.
And how old were you?
I was very young, I was 21.
Okay, and who was the man you were marrying?
Rod.
And did your mom like him?
Yes, my mother adored him.
So did she really want you to marry him?
Absolutely, absolutely. After the meal was done, everybody was sitting around in various places in the living room and in the family room, and I was sitting there writing a thank you note to Rod's piano teacher at Ithaca College. And Rod stood over me and looked at the message that I was writing, and he just started criticizing what I was writing, you know, that it wasn't good enough, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. It was like total shock to me because I had been writing tons of thank you notes over this time period, and there was nothing wrong with my thank you note as far as I could tell. And he was just harping on me about it not being right. So I just threw my pen down and I just started screaming. I was just going, ah, you know, leave me alone. Because it was horrible. At that point, when I freaked out about it, it just was washed over me that no, wait a minute, I don't want to get married. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
Mom, do you walk that fast?
Huh?
You walk that fast?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. Then do it again, one more time.
My mother said, you can't, you have to get married. Everybody's invited. You have your dress. We have a place for the reception. You can't not get married. You've got to do it. Then she gave me Valium, and more than that, I don't remember, frankly.
So she drugged you?
Yes, my mother drugged me.
Okay, do it again. But Mom, you can't do the thing. Just don't do that. You can tie it and then be done.
Okay. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So then the next day, she drugged you again?
Yes, she gave me a pill again in the morning when it was time to get dressed to go to the church for the wedding. The next day when I woke up, it's kind of a haze. I just knew that I got up and took my shower, did my hair and all the stuff, and just went through everything that I knew I had to do, sort of like playing a part in a play. She was always trying to control me, always trying to make sure I did everything the way she wanted it to be done, always. When I was 10 or 11 years old, she dyed my hair. I had blonde hair, and so she took me aside and she said, your hair's getting dark. We're going to have to dye it. So she dyed my hair blonde, peroxided it. As a kid, she was very abusive to me. She would give me enemas and always was intrusive about me going to the bathroom, to the extent where when I was about 3 years old, I would just go in the bathroom and lock the door. It was awful. I had your sister Alex a year after I got married. Rod would go on tours, then he would hook up with other women. And one time I was having a party and he came walking in our apartment with a young woman on his arm, and she turned to me and she said, "Oh, you're very nice looking." I said, "Oh, thank you." I said, "Who are you?" It ended up she was his girlfriend at the time. His moods were very changeable. He could be playing with Alex and they were having a good time in the living room, and then he would suggest to her, "Why don't you go in your room and get one of your toys?" And so she would go running in the back to get the toy, and she would come out, and then he would scream at her about why is she coming in back with this toy. And I mean, really scream. It was very terrible. Then I decided to get separated from him. I told my parents that I was going to get separated from Rod. My mother was very, very upset by that. She was concerned that I would be judged by the world as being a terrible person. She sent my father to New York on his own. He came and we had long conversations, and I said, "It's nice to see you, but why are you here?" And he said, "Well, I'm here because your mother is afraid that if you get divorced, you're going to become a prostitute." I said, "What?" And he looked at me and I looked at him, and he and I just burst out laughing. He goes back home, and then my father didn't realize it, but my mother was taking a lot of pills in order to, I think really to make it look like she was committing suicide, because she wanted to manipulate me to not get a divorce. And she ended up in the hospital. They had to knock her teeth out, to put something down her throat so she could breathe and that they could pump her stomach. That's what it is. So he called me up on the phone and he told me what happened. I said, "Oh my God, that's terrible." I said, "Are you okay, Dad? Are you okay?" And he said, "Yes, I'm okay, but your mother's not good." I said, "Well, but people are taking care of her, right?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, Dad, as long as you're okay, I'm not coming there, okay?" She was just trying to manipulate me and him to do what she wanted. I did not go back to Ohio.
Did you and your mom ever discuss it?
No, we never discussed it. My mother and I never discussed what happened. Never. No.
Go back and don't acknowledge the camera.
I didn't acknowledge
You did. You smiled right at us.
No, I didn't.
You did.
I was smiling because I was carrying this and didn't spill anything.
What my mom doesn't say is that after she divorced Rod, she married my dad and had me. And she made this eggplant sauce every year for my dad's birthday until he died.
Go back again and a little bit less. No. No. Was that one good?
Yeah.
All right. Cutting. Okay, we got it, Mom. You can. All right.
Delish, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
It is good. It was a good idea of yours to use the ziti.
Well, I can sell this for ASMR. Maybe this last part
No.
of just like me eating really close to the microphone.
Okay. I'm going to help them press here.
Sorry.
This is for Daisy.
It needs the cheese, and I recommend that. But
There's more sauce too.
there's a lot more sauce.
Yeah. That would be